100.1 and 102.3 CLG. It's the CLG Workforce with Ashley, and we're so pleased to be joined today by Jeff Buehner of the Loyal Order. Jeff, how you doing, man?
Ashley, how are you? I'm doing excellent. It's all is well.
Perfect. How are things going on in Portland with all this craziness?
Oh, Portland's been, as you've probably seen on TV. There's a lot of activity happening downtown, and we go from one thing into the other, from COVID to all this stuff that's been happening with the rioting and the protesting and the intermixing of things, and it's been very exciting, to say the least.
Right, absolutely. Is it affecting you guys any by getting to studios or anything like that?
No, not really. I'm actually down in LA right now, the area doing some songwriting. So I've been kind of out of the loop. I did see some peaceful protesters down there the other day, and I just kind of went around them,
right?
And it was I just didn't want to interrupt their thing, and I had to get to the studio at a certain time, so we were just writing away, and it's fun.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, let's start at the beginning, shall we? Because there's so much to go through with you. Obviously, you started off as a bass player. Was there a time in maybe your childhood or later in life when you decided to do that professionally?
The bass playing? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I started off playing guitar when I was just enamored with music. But from the time I was like 10 years old, my brothers used to sit around and play Johnny Cash songs, and my cousin and they were playing Johnny Cash songs in the holidays, and I was like, I want to get in on that. So I picked up an old guitar from a secondhand store and started learning some chords, and ever since then I kind of took off from there. And when I got into high school, I started playing bass in jazz band, mm-hmm. and alongside I also played trombone, of all things, and started playing bass and started playing in rock and roll bands, and it went from there, and I've been playing bass for many years. Wow. And most successfully I was with a band called the Dragonflies. Mm-hmm. We did some stuff. We had some national radio going on. We did a soundtrack with New Line Cinema. Ooh. Things like that. And and then I've been playing around Portland quite for many years, actually. It's just doing that, and then this singing thing happened randomly.
I know, I saw that. I mean, you're in a studio doing a project for a reality show, which you got hired to do. Then you hook up with Brandon Cook, which is, your guitar player, and you guys come up with this tune together. And where was the moment where you're like, you know what, let's start a band?
Well, the reality show thing happened, and it was, like I said, I don't know if you read the story, but I was just playing scratch tracks.
Right.
And the producer's like, I want you to do this, man. It sounds cool, Mm-hmm. So I went ahead and finished out the song, and that led into another couple other, it started off as a studio project. Mm-hmm. And we basically just realized we had half of an album done, and we're like, we should finish an album, and people started catching on to it, and wanted us to play, and we were kind of reluctant because we were just having fun in the studio, and off it went.
Wow.
And the singing thing just kind of, I had some ideas, and it just kind of took root, and it's a strange transition for me, though, because I've always identified myself as a bass player, and I love playing bass guitar.
Yeah.
But I'm now learning this new instrument, and I'm finding it fascinating that there's so much to it. There's so much physicality and mental focus involved with singing, and it's fun to I feel like a kid in a candy store learning a new instrument, So.
Absolutely. I don't think people realize how much it takes to be a singer, because like you said, it's like playing an instrument, breath control, exercising so you don't lose your breath, and hitting all your tones. There's a lot to it.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot to it. It's there's an encyclopedia of different techniques and the ways to approach a note and how to hit it and how to think about it and what to focus on and all of those things, and it's fun learning it, and it seems to be working out pretty good for us, and things are going good. And I wanted to tell you, thank you so much for playing our track so much. It's amazing that you guys have really. I've been watching your name on our list of radio reports every week, and I wanted to just say thank you so much. It's really cool.
You're so welcome. We're obsessed with the record, actually, to be accurate.
Nice.
We definitely dig it. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Speaking of that single "Ready for Dead," which everybody's familiar with here because we do play it, you originally released it independently, but when did Thom Hazaert come into all this?
Okay, well, I met Thom at a Megadeth listening party. They had just finished a new record, and I got invited to this listening party with Brandon and I, actually, via a friend of ours who was friends with those guys named Jimmy Littlefield. And we went down to this listening party, and I met Thom there and just kind of chit-chatted with him a little bit. I didn't even really know who he was or what his role was. I just knew he was some sort of he was connected in the industry.
Right.
So we released the video about a year ago, a little over a year ago now, actually, just to kind of see how it went. And it started getting some traction, so Thom happened to pop into my head, and I just randomly out of nowhere, so I paid attention to it, because I'm like, why would that guy stick in my head so fast suddenly? And so I called him, and I was like, hey, man, want to chat with you about a video that we just did, and it's starting to, get a little momentum. And I said, can I send it to you? And if you're interested, then we'll talk more. If not, just, it's all good.
Right.
So I sent it to him, and he hopped on board right away, and he thought it was kick-ass. And so let's do this, So we started talking about, how to move forward. And I told him we were doing a record, and he was like, yeah. And so I met he and David Ellefson in Nashville at a podcast expo.
Oh, wow.
And I had dinner with David and Thom and David and I just talked about life, and he's a great guy. I really love him. He's a super good guy.
Yeah.
And Thom has become a great friend, and we just hit it off and decided to keep working together, and so now the record's ready to be out, and we're gonna with all this stuff that's happening right now, we can't tour, can't do a whole lot of that, but
right.
We're going to dig into the next one, too. So.
Well, I saw that. So this is going to be a self-titled debut album that are you still currently working on it? Do we have any idea for release?
We're looking at this. The album is done.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for one correction on it, and it's at distribution right now.
Ooh.
And we will be doing a pre-sale on it this month sometime. Perfect. And so next month it will actually be released. The distribution channel we're using is called The Orchard, and I have a deal with those guys, and they're a Sony company. So
okay.
They're. I think I'm sure you've heard of The Orchard. Probably,
I have.
But so we're working with those guys on distribution too. So
cool.
Yeah, we're just kind of waiting for a couple things to click into place, and off it goes. It's all ready to go.
Love that. Can't wait to hear it. I saw an interview with Brandon talking about diversity on the album, how we could probably expect not to hear the same thing over and over.
Absolutely. Yeah. The songs, we did a 9-song record similar to 5150, and I believe Blackout was too, the Scorpions and Van Halen. Growing up and listening to all that stuff and being a kid and hearing all that was amazing. And anyway, so we're very affected by all that era of music too. But the record is basically very diverse. It's got some good. The first track is "Ready for Dead." The second track is another similar in heaviness type track called Hellfire, and we just shot a music video for that.
Nice.
Which is now done and being uploaded as well.
Cool.
To distribution. And then we move on through the. I believe the third song is a song called Half-Life, which is kind of a mid-tempo track that I would compare it to, Incubus vibe.
Nice.
And then it goes through. There's the track that we did for the reality shows on there too, and the album finishes off with just a screaming, really super heavy Pantera type song called "Fall to Rise."
Oh wow!
And and it's really heavy. So it's got like very Alice in Chains type chorus with a Pantera-like verse.
Oh my God, I dig this. Every band that you've named so far, it's kind of like this, it's kind of like that. Like, this is fantastic to have that kind of range.
Yeah. I'm really happy. And then it's got a couple. There's a couple songs, kind of ballad-esque type songs on it. One's called Colorblind, and another song is called The River.
Cool.
And and they both rock, but the River especially starts out like acoustic guitar, so yeah, it's all over the place, and it's you can definitely hear it's all the same band, but it's definitely moves around a lot, which is kind of what our goal was. Very reminiscent of like some of the Zeppelin albums, how they would be, you'd have a real heavier song and then they'd head off in this folky direction, and I always love the diversity that they put into their records.
Absolutely. Love to hear a band kind of stretch their legs, especially with the first album, which is not really surprising because your guys' musicianship is just freaking through the roof.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
It's great. Are there any other permanent members in your band? I was like doing some research and I'm like, okay, who else is on this? Because the only names mentioned are yours and Brandon's.
Yeah, well, what happened was, again, we basically started it off as a studio project.
Right.
And it was mostly just Brandon and I recording the first, 4 or 5 tracks, and then we had Joe Menges hop in and play drums, and Joe plays with the Eels. He tours with the Eels. And then we had Andrew Green. He's a local Portland drummer that's just phenomenal, and he did drums on a few songs. And then as it started to progress, people started to go, hey, man, if you're interested in me playing with you, kind of a thing when you guys get ready to play live. And so we were definitely considering everybody. And me as a bass player, I played bass on most of the tracks.
Right.
But I knew I didn't want to play bass and sing in this band because I wanted to be able to really focus on the new instrument. And as a bass player, I'm religious about never losing the vibe and the pocket of the song.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, unless you're Geddy Lee, that's going to happen.
Right.
So basically, I just thought, I'm not sure who it's going to be. I have a couple of really good friends in Portland that his name is Dane Ryan, great bass player. He wanted to do it, and he just kind of got busy with some stuff, and it just didn't really line up exactly with his timing and our timing. And then we ended up with Patrick Young playing bass, and I've always looked up to him. He's an amazing player. Really has the intensity that this music requires. And then we have Kyle Baltus playing drums.
Oh, really?
Do you know who Kyle is?
36 Crazy Fists.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And also Howard Jones's project called Light the Torch. Howard from Kill Switch Engage.
Yeah, we actually played a few of their records too. Crazy.
Awesome. And then Justin Gibson rounded it all out. He's the second guitarist.
Wow.
And it's really hard to call him a second guitarist because it's so fun with him and Brandon playing together on stage, because at one point Brandon taught him when, after Justin had moved to Portland, he was already a phenomenal guitarist, and he and Brandon got together and just kind of, worked on some things, and that Justin wanted to, broaden his horizons, I suppose. And then those two guys, it's like having Adrian and Bill from Iron Maiden in the band, Adrian and Dave from Iron Maiden in the band. I mean, and
right.
It's just like, it's so good. I can't believe I said Bill. Dave Murray, Bill Murray.
Sure, why not? We'll put Bill Murray in there.
I don't know if he plays guitar, though.
I don't know, but if he did, that would be beast. I'm just saying.
The brain is a funny thing.
It really is.
But yeah, it's just like, because they do dual leads together and stuff, and they play off each other. But that last song that I was telling you, the last song on the record called "Fall to Rise," there's some dual lead stuff that happens on that, and then Justin actually plays the lead in this song called "Hellfire" that we just did the video for, and then they do a harmony solo in the outro of the song.
Oh wow!
So yeah, you'll see that the Hellfire music video was so cool to do because we had to do it during this COVID thing, so we couldn't get together as a band.
Oh, how'd that happen then?
Well, it was tricky. We did it one guy at a time. I sat in a room and was kind of the assistant, and we had Rob Dacre, who was our producer, shooting the video. And he was shooting the video, and then basically I sat in a room with him. While he was shooting, and I had the mask on, and I had the bottle of alcohol misting the air, and as each guy came in and did their playthroughs, and each guy did 3 or 4 takes, and then next kind of thing, and I went last. And I'm pretty sure I got rubbing alcohol poisoning that day.
Oh my God!
But, and then I was last, and we finished it up. And then it was a tricky video to put together because we didn't have what's called a primary shot. That you always go back to, like, in between featured points of the song.
Right.
So we didn't have a primary shot, so it was all a complete, like, kind of a highlight reel, so to speak. And so the editing was difficult, but Rob's amazing, and I'm really happy with how the video turned out exactly like the song feels. So you'll be seeing that really soon. Perfect.
Can't wait to see that. That's for sure. So sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No. Finish what you're saying, because I don't want to get sidetracked.
I was just saying that I'm just really excited about it. And with how it turned out, it's a good follow-up single for Ready for Dead, and I want to hopefully that we'll get both of those out there. Just both those songs circulating.
Absolutely. Well, Ready for Dead, already a success. I checked the indicator chart today. You guys moved up to 32 in just a week. You moved up 5 spots.
Yeah, we're number 32 in Billboard and number 19 on the Foundations chart.
Ooh,
top 50.
Dang.
Yeah, so that was exciting news.
Yeah, and I also saw that your music video was up to 940 some thousand views on Facebook. It was insane.
Yeah, it's been going up exponentially. I'm thinking it'll hit 1 million in the next day or two. For sure. So yeah, it's fun to watch. It's okay. 2,000 people just watched it. It's cool. It's cool to see. Definitely. Well, Jeff, I'm so excited for you guys with this record. I'm really hoping that once all this stuff kind of passes us, we can get back into the music and get a tour on the books. Maybe you guys can come to Morgantown. We would love to have you. I would absolutely love to go to Morgantown, and I'm really hoping that, when everything lifts up, we can get on some good tours, and I'd love to come out to that part of the country and just kind of rock and roll out there for a while. It'd be a blast. I can't wait. Do you have any good festivals in Morgantown? Not in Morgantown, but even if we can get you guys to Pittsburgh, which is literally like an hour north of here, that would work. Well, let's do it. I'm down, and let's connect again after the record comes out, and we'll see how everything's looking there. Absolutely. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. You were awesome. Oh, thank you, and as were you, and I really appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much for playing the song, and it's just really humbling, and I'm very honored. You should be very proud of it, man. You guys rock. Okay, thank you so much. Looking forward to more. Absolutely. All right, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, thank you. All right, that was Jeff Buehner from The Loyal Order. Check out their new single, Ready for Dead. It is out now. It's 100.1 and 102.3 CLG.